if you give me just 5 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 10 most critical steps in exterior door refinishing with natural oils. Plus, I'm going to share some tips with you that even the pros don't know. Does that sound fair enough? Okay, if you're still with me, I'm going to take that as a yes. So let's go ahead and start the timer. Good. Okay, first step, you've got to take your door off the hinges. What you want to do is take it off, put it on some sawhorses with some protection between the sawhorses and the door so you don't scratch it. Much easier to work on a door when it's in a horizontal position all day long when you're scraping or sanding in a vertical position. Step number 2, you must take the hardware off. Here's some doors that were done, that we were called on, that tried to get done with the hardware left on. You can see the gouges around the wood. What you don't see is the gouges also in the hardware. Here's the after shot of that. We came, removed the hardware, and as you can see, it's a smooth finish. We also had a custom stain we put on. That, by the way, was the original stain that was put on just 3 months before we got there. Step number 3. Now, in order to have a nice finish on a door with oil, you have to take off all of the old hard finish. Listen, wood is like skin. If I put oil or lotion on my hand here, for example, and I have a plastic barrier here taped to my hand, that lotion's not going to get to that spot. Wood is the same way. If there's hard finish left on that wood, the oil's not going to be able to penetrate. What you're going to end up with is a blotchy effect like this, or you're going to end up with a muddy effect like this. Now, obviously you don't want that, so you have to get all that off. Now, here's the problem. When you're sanding, the finishing, sanding off that finish, you got a problem on your hands. And the reason is because most of the doors in the United States are made with what's called straight grain vertical fur. It's a veneer. That veneer is only 1/64 of an inch thick. Now, I know you don't believe me. You think your door is solid wood, but what happens, even if it's cherry, maple, mahogany, I don't care what it is, the sides of your door are a sandwich. The reason they do that is so the door won't warp. If that was solid wood, your door would warp over time, and that wouldn't work. So what they do is they build these veneers. Now, unfortunately, this one's really thin, so you've got to be very careful. Now, the reason you got to be careful is because you have to take off a little veneer when you refinish your door, because the wood is darkened and so on and so forth, but you only get one shot. If you put back on a hard finish, you're going to have to do this again in 3 to 5 years. You're going to go through the grain. You're going to start seeing cross pieces of wood, which is the backer behind these. Obviously, you don't want that. So here's the first tip I'm going to give you. How can you tell how thick your veneer is? You get up on top of your ladder, a step ladder, and you open your door and you look down on the sides of the door. The sides of the door, the wood that goes from the top to the bottom. And what you're going to see is something like this, or maybe something like this. In either case, you're going to see a sandwich with a very thin veneer on the outsides of that sandwich. That's how much you have to work with. So always check that before you start refinishing your door. Okay, now, step number 5, conditioning the wood. You have to put a conditioner on the wood after it's stripped so that it absorbs the oil at the same rate. Now, the conditioner has to work in tandem with the finish. They both have to be compatible. So it's very interesting, very important you know how that works. Okay, step number 6, custom color mixing. Listen, some doors, like mahoganies, have so much differentiation in color they look like bacon. You got whites, you get darks, reds, greens. You have to know how to custom color match on site. We mix all our stains custom. We can match any color you have, including striations like this. We can put greens to block out the reds, reds to block out the greens, and so on and so forth. So it's a nice uniform look when we're done. Even painters I've worked with for 30 years that have worked with me don't know how to do this. Number 7, touch up. Okay, every time we refinish the outside of the door, there's always something going on the inside. Now, we don't normally refinish the inside, but there's either scratches or watermarks. We know how to take care of that. Now, number 8, if you have either of these conditions and you're in this area in Colorado, you must call us, because I don't know anyone else out there that knows how to handle this. First of all, rot. If the finish has gone too long, that wood has rotted. And we've got to cut that out, and we've got to replace it with a similar wood and blend everything together so it looks like it was never, rotten in the first place. It looks as good as new. We can do that. The second condition in repairing is re-veneering. You saw how thin that veneer in it is. If moisture gets behind that, it starts bagging and cracking and peeling away, has to be replaced. There's no other company in Colorado that re-veneers on site like we do. Also, if you even call Google in the United States, I don't even know of any other companies in the United States. So it's a very unique service we're offering in re-veneering. Okay, our step number 9 is you've got to put the right finish on. It's got to be an oil. Now, here's what happened to some doors that I saw that I did up in Colorado, up in Breckenridge 9 years ago. Okay, these doors were redone 3 years ago, and when I saw them, this is the condition they're in. We refinished those same doors, and 9 years later, they look like this. So you can see the difference over time. Oil is so much longer lasting than a hard finish. Now, the thing is, they've all got to be maintained. Okay, so you've got to put a maintenance coat on every finish. Our maintenance coat is the easiest. You just rag on the oil once a year. It'll take you less than half an hour per door. Okay, stop the clock. Okay, I went a minute over, 6 minutes. Sorry about that, but I hope you got a lot of value out of this viewing this video now. So I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.